You may begin your presentation.
Imagine a world where people trapped in the persistent cycle of homelessness are finally given a chance to break free.
A world that advocates for the well-being of all people living with dementia.
At Enactus UWA, we aim to build this world. Through our two projects, Unearth and Sense, we strive to empower local communities and provide real, sustainable solutions to these very real problems. Good afternoon. My name is Naomi.
My name is Tom.
I'm Mahalo.
And I'm Alex. And together, we represent Enactus UWA.
Would it shock you to learn that on any given night, over 9,000 people in WA are experiencing homelessness? This number is set to increase by 12% over the next 5 years. At Enactus UWA, we were shocked and dismayed by the stark prevalence of homelessness and thought that it was time to make a difference. Many people inaccurately equate homelessness with rough sleeping. However, homelessness encompasses many situations where an individual lacks the stability, security, and safety of a permanent home. This may be in the form of emergency shelters, temporary housing, or couch surfing due to a number of circumstances such as poverty, job loss, or domestic violence. Homelessness does not discriminate. What shocked us was that many of these people had employable skills but were trapped in a vicious cycle due to the stigma of homelessness. Last year, the Unearth team surveyed 270 Western Australians aged from 18 to 25. They found that while only 5% of cases of homelessness arises from drugs and alcohol abuse, 78% of respondents incorrectly believe this to be the major cause of homelessness. This is a stigma. The concept of homelessness is hence largely misunderstood by young people, something that Unearth has set out to change. Unearth was founded 2 years ago from volunteering with Rua Community Services, a Perth organisation dedicated to helping those experiencing homelessness. Through conversations with members of Rua's weekly art group, we established that these individuals had extraordinary creative talent, but lacked the support or means to get their art out on a platform. At Unearth UWA, we were inspired to find a way to empower these local artists.
Introducing Jane, an artist the team met at Rua. In her past, Jane has experienced the hardships of homelessness, and in combination with other obstacles, such as struggles with mental health and disability, Jane has often struggled with integral aspects of everyday life, with one such key focus being that of financial stability. Despite this, Jane has pursued a love of creating artwork in her free time. However, in her journey as an artist, Jane has often felt disheartened at the lack of recognition and appreciation for her artwork from the wider community, a direct result of the stigma surrounding homelessness. It was after meeting artists like Jane that the Unearth team performed a needs analysis. Consulting key external stakeholders, such as corporate bodies, schools, and the wider community, they arrived at two key findings. Firstly, there were no known other organisations in Australia that specifically targeted the issue of artists facing homelessness. And secondly, that there were serious misconceptions held by young Western Australians around this issue. From this, the Unearth team saw an opportunity and was inspired to take action, transforming Unearth into a marketplace for artists like Jane to sell their artwork.
Unearth's initial business model focused on an events-based program that showcased the work of the artists. This year, the team has established a t-shirt model, Unearth Street, and a schools program that will allow for a more diverse and sustainable business model. These two programs directly address the needs of the wider community. In April 2019, the Unearth team launched a separate business, Unearth Street, a clothing brand that allows for the artist's work to be displayed beyond an exhibition setting. By collaborating with artists, their t-shirts are printed, allowing for a more accessible, affordable, and in-demand product. In addition, this also increases the exposure of the artist's talent to the wider community. This program works directly towards UN Goal 8 by promoting decent work and upskilling the artists. In addition, Unearth will continue to operate its events-based program. Unlike Unearth Street, this focuses on a corporate market. By hosting exhibitions, this provides a platform for artists to sell their work and receive recognition. Artists set their own prices and are encouraged to attend the event to share their stories personally with members of the public. By having these conversations, we hope to break down the negative stereotypes associated with homelessness. In addition, This program also hopes to increase the financial independence of the artists, thus working towards UN Goal 1, relieving poverty.
Another aspect of Unearth revolves around the schools program, which aims to directly tackle the stigma of homelessness. Its development was backed by the principle that high school students in Perth are not thoroughly educated on the complex nature of homelessness. This program will consist of interactive workshops for Year 7 and 8 classes. This can be administered by Unearth members, but also volunteers who are in collaboration with UWA Guild Volunteering. This workshop will consist of 3 main stages. Firstly, challenging students' misconceptions on a quiz about perceptions of homelessness. Secondly, educating these students on a presentation on the realities of homelessness. And thirdly, increasing awareness through a budgeting activity simulating the decisions someone facing homelessness may need to make. Our team plans to implement the pilot program in Term 3 of this schooling year. Our team also aims to increase social capital within high school students by tackling their perception of homelessness, aiming towards a stigma-free society. Through this, we work towards UN Goal 4, providing quality education on current social issues.
Since the last financial year, Unearth has been enabling progress through the addition of Unearth Street. Since its launch, Unearth has held 5 market stalls across Perth, with the first batch of t-shirts featuring Jane's original artwork, and every purchase was accompanied with a card that featured Jane's biography and a description of her artistic journey thus far. Collectively, the sale of Unearthed apparel has equated to a revenue of $1,920. And we are proud to report that in our first month alone, Jane accrued an income of $391. This is just one example of how Unearth is providing artists like Jane with a means of obtaining an income and is working towards UN Goal 1 by supporting individuals to obtain basic necessities. Jane has said that Unearth has opened up different possibilities for her. She now feels secure in having an extra income source, whether that be to buy a meal, to pay for a bill, or to purchase a special item that she could not otherwise afford. Jane has also expressed a renewed confidence in herself because of others' recognition and appreciation for her artistic talent. And this demonstrates just how Unearth is empowering artists through financial independence, emotional well-being, and an improved quality of life.
Moving forward, Unearth has invited over 50 schools to take part in our education program. With 8 schools showing an immediate interest, we'll begin working with them to develop a skeleton plan that fits within the national curriculum. Additionally, Unearth is working with corporate bodies such as PwC to run more events. We envisage these will take place as artwork sale evenings that specifically co-align with Homelessness Awareness Week, taking place later this year in August. Finally, Unearth Street is in its final stages of becoming independent of Enactus UWA. As we speak, the final constitutional changes are being made and the last pieces of regulatory paperwork are being filed. This means that we anticipate that before the end of this month, Unearthed will be fully incorporated and split from Enactus. As such, Unearthed encapsulates the Enactus mission as a whole, taking an idea and transforming it into a fully functioning social enterprise.
Unearth combines entrepreneurial thinking with a passion for social impact to provide an income source for those facing the stigma of homelessness. It is this drive for change that lies at the core of all of our projects, including Sensed.
Over 450,000. That's the number of Australians today living with dementia. And in 40 years, that number will double. Dementia is a collection of disorders affecting the brain. It is progressive and incurable. In later stages, behavioural symptoms can include aggression and anxiety. Symptoms like these are often treated through the use of medication and restraint. In the 2018 Royal Commission into Aged Care, it was found that only 1 in 10 individuals benefited from this medication, with many suffering from adverse side effects. There is a clear need for non-medication-based alternative therapies, such as sensory products. These products, which include sensory blankets, provide individual sensory stimulation to the patient and have been proven to increase overall well-being and reduce the escalation of symptoms. However, These blankets retail for up to $100 each, leaving hospitals unable to afford them and struggling to receive consistent levels of donations. This was learned from Michelle, a hardworking nurse at a local hospital who had advocated for improvements in patient well-being through the introduction of sensory blankets. However, for 2 years, she had struggled to implement a sustainable program. This is where we saw a shared opportunity to increase the accessibility of these products. In addition, 500,000 tons of textiles are thrown into landfill every year in Australia. We saw a second opportunity to upcycle this textile wastage into a much-needed product.
This year, we talked to local high schools and Alzheimer's WA. What we found transformed our understanding of dementia. We realized that young people matter in changing our communities of the future, with over 1.5 million people being indirectly impacted by dementia. Teachers that we talked to said that in most classrooms, there was at least one student who was impacted by dementia at home. Our needs assessment was used to create a single vision, encompassing 2 key cornerstones. Firstly, improving patient well-being through the production and supply of sensory products, and secondly, fostering long-lasting and sustainable relationships between stakeholders, aiming to tackle the stigma around dementia. Sensed was established as an organization that worked with local high schools to upcycle textile wastage, producing sensory products and increasing awareness.
This year, the Sense team has been taking action to collaboratively design and implement our program. Sense is centered around 2 key stakeholders, health groups and local schools. In partnership with health groups, we developed key specifications for sensory blankets based on the needs of its users, usually those in advanced stages of dementia. These blankets are created from squares of fabric of different textures with attachments such as buckles, zips, and pockets that stimulate the senses of the individual user. Additionally, we established a collection point at the hospital that allows for donations of fabrics and attachments. These are then collected, sorted, and passed on to local schools, and in doing so, we are working towards UN Goal 12 of responsible production and consumption. Finally, we work closely with 2 high schools in Perth, Mercedes College and Dale Christian College, to develop a program that directly aligns with the Year 9 and 10 schools' curriculum. This program allows for the creation of sensory blankets to be completed during existing class time in home economics classes and textile classes. These blankets conform to the rigorous guidelines and standards set out by our partner health group and are fully upcycled from the collected fabrics. The educational element of this program is based on dementia awareness resources developed by the Alzheimer's Society in the United Kingdom that aims to increase the breadth of understanding about dementia within young students. This is taught to them during existing class time where the blankets are made. And once they are completed, these blankets are then donated to the local hospital and ultimately given to patients. In this manner, we are working towards UN Goal 3 by improving the well-being of patients. This new approach brings together 2 previously disconnected stakeholders in an environmentally friendly and socially beneficial way.
Sensed is enabling progress in 3 key ways. Firstly, we are measuring our impact. We're in the early stages of a long-term pre- and post-evaluation program. This will allow us to measure the effect our blankets make on both patient well-being and medication usage within the hospitals. We'll conduct this through surveys of primary health staff, carers, and their family members. We'll use this information to improve not only our own program, but to share the results with key external stakeholders with the hope of inspiring others to replicate our model and bring benefit to their own communities. Secondly, Sense is empowering our local community. We are fostering connections that allow for individuals to care for those living with dementia in a way that was previously impossible. In addition to this, we have collected over 30 kilograms of textile wastage and worked with more than 50 students from 2 separate schools. We've spoken to these students and they said they found our program both meaningful and engaging, allowing them to use their creativity to benefit their communities whilst deepening their understanding of dementia. Some students enjoyed our program so much they continued sewing these blankets well beyond the conclusion of their semester. Finally, Sensed is having a measurable impact on the quality of life for those living with dementia. We have donated more than 50 sensory blankets to our partner health group, a cash equivalent of over $4,000 of sensory product, all at a cost of less than $75.
This is only the beginning for Sense. With the prevalence of dementia only set to increase, there is a clear need for projects like ours. During the duration of this presentation, 5 individuals in Australia will have been diagnosed with dementia. Sense will be moving forward in 2 key ways. Firstly, in the next year, we aim to impact 200 patients. To do this, we'll be expanding our schools program and increasing the capacity of our textile recycling points. We'll do this by increasing the accessibility and marketing of our program through a National Teachers Association and statewide sewing guild. Secondly, through our journey so far, we've learned the importance of young people. To continue this conversation, we're developing intergenerational workshops that will provide a sustainable source of revenue for the project and increase the scope of our impact. Sense began with an individual and a problem, and a solution that grew into a community. And communities have the power to impact us all.
Our belief at Enactus UWA is that we should never underestimate the valuable and important difference that we can make in every life that we touch. From a class of students in school to the people behind our projects like Jane and Michelle. The impact that we make today has a powerful and rippling effect on every tomorrow. Imagine that world. Thank you.
We will now begin the question and answer period.
Hi, so on Unearthed, curious to understand as you got into the world of homelessness, were there any other talents that you uncovered that you thought could equally be unearthed beyond art?
So when Unearthed was established, it was through RUA, a community arts centre. So the initial focus was on people experiencing homelessness already operating within this art centre. So their talent was art specifically. And that's where the opportunity through some individuals volunteering there saw that opportunity to sort of harness their abilities. There's no doubt there are other talents of the artists, but that's sort of how we came across that sort of specific segment that we captured in our project.
A question about the pre and post evaluation that's planned for Sense. What's your strategy for engaging healthcare providers who will be able to provide you with some of the evaluation information you've suggested, such as medication regimes and changes there?
So with this point, we're working closely with our partner hospital. So this means that our evaluation process is delivered in partner with them. So we've developed surveys that will be given to our primary carers who are working with these patients over a long period of time. This will be before the implementation of blankets, and then afterwards, over about a 3-month period, we'll have a second survey to see how that goes. And that will have both qualitative and quantitative measures with the hope that both the hospital can use them, but also other health groups and care providers to show that our project works, but also to identify areas where we can improve moving forward to best suit the needs of the people we hope to impact.
Just curious to hear a bit more about the fabrication side of things, so the collection points. What were you relying on other people, contractors, to make the delivery happen? How does that work?
So this was sort of a process that initially started with the collection point at the hospital. In the first round, this actually just went out to staff in one department, and that's where that 30 kilograms came from. So we were inundated with donations. The benefit of our program is that I can use small scraps of textiles that would previously not be recycled. And to improve that, we're going to make a more public donation point at both the hospital and our partner schools so that other people can bring in. And what we've learned so far is that there's a clear need for these sort of opportunities for people to donate textiles from their households into our community. So that's sort of how it works.
You're going to incorporate Unearthed, is that right? You're looking to incorporate it?
We're looking to incorporate Unearthed Street in particular.
Okay. Is it sustainable given the figures that you got here? You got about $1,700 of cash. You're going to have some form of structure. How sustainable is that? The great aspiration. how sustainable is that in terms of the revenue targets under it, cash flows?
So are you just looking at the cash flow statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that cash flow statement you're looking at is for Enactus, like the organisation. Well, from the get-go for our projects or Enactus UWA, we create separate bank accounts because obviously the long-term goal is to have them split off on their own. So to kind of ease in that transition from the very beginning, they start separated from us.
And in addition to that, Unearthed actually has its own separate annual report in there. But to talk about the self-sustainability of especially Unearthed Street, we're looking to considering opening it up beyond stores to an online marketplace as well to reach even more people. And so we found that really the street element, taking those t-shirt designs, has been the most profitable, that we can then reinvest back into the artists, and we're developing that optimal business model in the other arms, and then once we have that, we will try to incorporate them as well.
My question was related. Is the Unearthed educational activities to raise awareness funded by the revenue coming in through the t-shirt company?
So at the moment, with the Unearthed Schools program, that's actually hosted by a UWA volunteering community. So it's actually very low cost for us to run, since there's a UWA guild who we anticipate will run those initial sessions. With their income from the t-shirt model, the primary profit going back to the artists whose designs are used on that product.
So the two sides are independent.
Yeah, at this stage. Yeah.
I may have missed this, but just go back to the beginning. The researcher relied upon the relationship between sensory stimulation and dementia management. What was the key research on that?
So there's been a lot of research on textiles. This is a material that people have often touched.
Your time has expired. Judges, would you join me please in thanking the University of Western Australia?